Hello. So the video that I'm about to show, a little demo I'm about to show, is about Windows. And sorry, I'm all over the place here. Windows, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about the ones that you have on that we see from an elevation view, which we can see that this is not very realistic right here, but we use those to get locations to where we make it much more realistic right here. You have all these things, and I was just in that blocks folder. So you have a lot of like symbols and stuff for floor plan things. I do want to go ahead and point out one thing is that if you were to look in online for something like architectural door block, okay, if I look at these, and I'm just going to pull up a couple. Hopefully you can see that there's actually a slight difference between that one and that one, okay? And that one, and that one, okay? And any other ones I'm looking for. And that one, okay? So this says low detail, high detail, okay? So these higher detail ones for doors and windows, I do not use when I'm constructing and drawing. If I do use those, I'll come back and go ahead and just adapt them after. But I just did the video on doors, and this one is on windows, okay? So some people have looked at this. Now the firm, when I started doing this in college, there was one way that was preferred to do it. When I started working for a firm, they asked me to do it the other way. So the college way that I learned, the window was actually, I'm trying to not have an object snap here. The window symbol was actually bigger than the thickness of the wall. The firm I started working for, I don't know why, the guy who was attached to the idea, his thing was he wanted it different. And so that's fine. So you will find little differences depending on where you go. If any of you guys ever go to college to pursue an architecture degree, you will find probably a difference from another professor. Okay. Anyhow, so the way I start this is I make sure I'm on my window layer. Okay. In this case, I'm going to do two windows. So the first one I'm going to draw is right in the center of the room. Okay. Piece of cake. So since I have my midpoint object snap on, I can just click from here and I put it right here. All right. Now let's say I want this window to be, I don't know, let's say 3 feet. Okay. Since I'm working off of centers, I use offset and I go halfway to each side. Okay. So I can use my offset or just, store this and say, oh, space is offset. If it's a 3 foot window, I need to go half of 3 feet to the right and half of 3 feet to the left, which we know that to be 18 inches. So I click my center, I go 18 inches to the right, I come back, and I go 18 inches to the left. Okay. Now I got to go ahead and remove the wall. So I go ahead and I hit trim, TR spacebar, right click immediately, go ahead and get rid of that. So now this wall over here is separate, this wall over here is separate, they are their own thing. Real easy, since we're using 6-inch interior wall or exterior walls rather, all I need to do now is take a line, start it from the midpoint, bring it to the midpoint, and this, like I said, there's all kinds of little different styles. The style that I worked with last was that they wanted an inch of missing space so that it was very clear that there was no wall in here, that this was a window. Okay, so all I got to do is say, well, if I need an inch of space on this side and an inch of space on this side, 6 inches minus 1 inch here is 5, minus 1 here is 4, and split the difference. So it's a 2-inch offset from the center going this way and from the center going that way. Okay, one last thing is you are going to trim just this little piece. Where is it? It is on the inside of the room, and I'll get back to why that's the case. So now we have a very clear looking window. Okay. What if this were to be the case over on the side of the building? What if you needed to put in a 2-foot window, but you needed it 1 foot away from this wall. Okay, piece of cake. So we'll go offset. Now in this case, instead of doing anything, we'll just, any crazy math or anything, we'll just use this wall and we'll offset it. So if it's a 2-foot window, but we need to save a foot of space, well, that means we need to go 1 foot of space plus 1/2 of the window. So in this case, I'll go 24 inches. Okay. Now in this case, again, we're talking about a 2-foot window, which means I'm going to go ahead and back and I'm going to offset 12 inches this way and 12 inches this way. Okay. Now some of you guys might look at this and you say, well, now shoot, are these walls? Are they windows? Yes, this is because I kind of match up my layers as I go. Okay. This tool right here, Match Properties, is very handy for that. All you do is you click it and think about like you're matching paint. You want to match this color, so you click, and you come over here and you select what you want to paint with it, right click, enter, you're done. Okay. Extend, we're going to use the extend tool. Again, extend is located up here under trim, but I never actually ever use that icon. And the reason is once I've used it, I am toggled now to extend. I use trim quite a bit more. So again, a hotkey that you just want to remember is EX spacebar. Remember how trim works. You want to select the destination first, and second, then you right click, you pick what is going in that direction, which are those 3 things. Okay. So now I got to get rid of this. I don't have anything that should be here inside the room. So I trim, and I have to get rid of the wall. I have to cut that piece of wall out, and I trim again. All right. You could, at this point, and I try to keep things simple, you literally could just go ahead and copy this because it will save you a little bit of an operation. So since I've put 1 window in already, I could grab this from the endpoint right here and go ahead and stick it on this midpoint and then just get rid of what's hanging over. So I could go trim, right? Get rid of all this. And remember what I did before, I got rid of just the little stick that's on the inside, okay? If you're doing this from scratch and you just needed another reminder, skip that copying, okay? I copy as much as I possibly can, but in this case, again, just as so you can see it a second time, I go ahead and I go from center to center. I'm going to offset this 2 inches to either side. So I'll go 2 from there to there, 2 from there to there, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim this right here, okay? I'll show you why this stick now becomes important, okay? When you dimension a house, you typically want to try to pull all your dimensions from one side, okay? So if I go up here, I'm going to go to I thought I had a dimension layer on this. Yes, dimensions right here. So if I click dimension right here, my first thing I would do is dimension the wall first, okay? Think about if you're a tape carpenter pulling a tape measure. You want to always, if you can, dimension from that same spot, okay? Now, you're never going to have to actually dimension these windows. You just have to dimension to the center, okay? So the reason I did this with the little stick that I leave, look what happens if I click on the window. The dimension is crooked, okay? It's not parallel to the back wall, which is why now I'm going to go ahead from corner, and I'm going to make sure that I grab the end of that little stick, which is the window center line. So I'd put that dimension right there, dimension again, and I'm just going to go to here to the center line again, and voila, okay? So that would be my dimensioning. You don't have to dimension anything yet. I kind of save that until I get closer to the end of a project. But that is the video. So again, between the last video and this video, we've talked about a door, we've talked about a window, and then you're going to get some additional stuff as far as like closets, bifold doors, bypass doors, a variety of things like that. So if you do come back to these things, they can really help you out when you do forget these simple things, okay?